Good afternoon, I'm Sam Dick.
And I'm Amber Philpott. We hope you and your family are having a very Merry Christmas.
As we prepare to say goodbye to 2013, we wanted to look back at the stories that made this year so memorable. As always, we appreciate the opportunity to bring you those stories each day on WKYT News.
Over the next hour, we invite you to look back at 2013 with us through the eyes of our award-winning photographers, reporters, and staff here at WKYT.
Thank you for joining us.
We hope you enjoy this inside look behind the lens.
We are more than just
Anchors,
photographers,
reporters.
We take you to the scene.
When news is breaking.
When events develop, we're there to get the facts.
and track down the other side.
A camera lens captures images.
A microphone grabs sound.
But we collect the emotions.
And the moments of everyday life.
And create stories that impact you.
Chances are you've never even met us.
Or know who we are.
But you invite us into your home.
Every day and night.
We are more than just photographers.
Reporters.
Editors.
We are the storytellers of WKYT.
We're taking you along with us behind the lens.
When we come in the mornings, we are, in the newsroom for about 5 minutes before we take off and we're on the scene of our first story.
Sometimes you can have a really busy night. Sometimes you'll find yourself, in the middle of downtown in a police scene.
So I essentially have to become an expert on anything in a very short amount of time.
Now, it's taken a second try at a murder trial for a jury to reach a conclusive verdict, but late last night, it finally happened.
The viewer gets to kind of see us working on the story as it's happening, because a lot of times whenever we get on the scene of breaking news, of course, it's happening right there live. It's not, it didn't happen 3 hours ago. It's happening right then.
With storytelling, you have to be really good at advancing the content. You have to be able to make it fresh and new.
Okay, guys, it's a beautiful day to run. Can't nobody complain about this.
Every serious runner has mileage to get in every day.
Yeah, let's stay on the sidewalk today.
As a woman and as someone who is an avid runner, this story just really hit home to me. So after a year, it was really important to me to go back.
Come on, Elizabeth. Come on. You've got to run. This is a group effort.
Sit down with Elizabeth, talk to her about that day and about being the last person to be with her sister, but more importantly about all of the wonderful things that have come forward since that tragic day.
At first you have to deal with the tragedy of her being gone. For us now, we're just trying to figure out how to live life without her. And I think the thing that we struggle with the most is the disappointment of her not being here.
Come into someone's life just for an afternoon. We didn't know them before, and now we feel like we know everything about them, and then be able to tell their story.
You meet new people every day. You get to learn about them, how they're different from you.
Trying to empathize with what other people in our community are going through, it opens our eyes a lot of times to things we may never know exist.
The end goal is to have something that captures someone's emotion and the moment, and it documents for a short period of time what was going on that particular day.
All were given a hero's welcome at the airport.
It means I haven't been forgotten and it wasn't all in vain.
It's hard to find the words to describe the feeling that you get when you see these heroes being honored. Many of these guys, their health or their circumstances would not allow them to travel to Washington, D.C. to see the memorials built for them.
To defend them from foreign aggressors at any cost, whether it's our lives, our fortunes, or our health.
Some of the veterans were telling me afterwards that it was the best experience of their lives. And these are guys who are like 90 years old, talking about a one-day trip to Washington, D.C. be the best experience of their lives.
Injured in the crash herself. No one dreamed Wendy Cohorn would be out of the hospital in time for her 5-year-old son's vigil.
No one expected her to show up, and when she did, we had our camera rolling, and you see the raw emotion where it all hit her that she had lost her son.
He deserves to know every day for the rest of his life that he took the best thing in this world from me.
It's something that we do, and we document things like that, and people who have family members can see that, and they feel for a lady like that.
There's no other job out there like that, where you can just walk up to people and say, hey, My name's Jerica. I'm with WKYT. I'd like to hear your story.
It's okay. Nobody's gonna hurt you.
Take a trip down to Jessamine County's Wolf Run Wildlife Refuge, and you'll spot many things you'd see on a typical family farm. And many you wouldn't, because here at this wildlife refuge,
Look at Cupcake saying, oh my God, they're leaving me behind.
The array of situations that we're put in, I'm able to kind of meet so many different people from all walks of life, and each of them single-handedly impact me.
Hello, Reba. Hello, Totem.
Or take a look at this unlikely bond between a coyote and dog.
I didn't even know that wolf dogs really existed, and then here's 20 of them, and here's a coyote playing with a dog and a cougar, and this is all just in Nicholasville. So yeah, the stories like that are just bizarre are the ones that really captivate me.
If for any reason they're not adopted or not adoptable, they'll stay here for the rest of their lives and be cared for and loved.
Yes. I lead with whatever they're saying. I follow whatever they're doing, and even in the shots and in the editing, we're trying to create this picture of the story that this third party is sharing with us.
Doesn't take long to realize. All right. He's the reason for the noise.
Amigo, gracias.
I knew that our reveal would be something to the fact that this man was homeless at one time, and he now had a job and was making a living. We wanted to delve deeper into that reveal. It wasn't just going to be that we stood on the side of the road with him while he talked about being homeless at one point.
The intersection where he now works.
Hey man, how you doing?
Is far better for him than the one he used to sleep beside.
Daryl acknowledged the situation he was in was of his own doing, but he also realized the only way to get out of that situation was by his own doing. And that's where he is an inspirational story, I think.
Man, I honk at you every day on Oh man, I've been missing you, man.
A lot of people come in here and want to sit around and just wait around. He wasn't one of them people. He said, I know this ain't the place for me. And next thing you know, I started driving down Richmond Road. I said, that's that guy.
He was so passionate about his work at that car wash because of what he had been through.
Daryl hasn't had to sleep at the community inn for about a year now.
So every time I see him, beep.
And we were able to take viewers through that dark period in his life and show why he was so happy and why he was so thankful.
I was a reporter and anchor here at WKYT for 7 years, from 2002 to 2009, and left for a little while to get a little bit better schedule and spend some time with my family, and couldn't stay away though, and came back after about 4 years. And a lot's changed in 4 years. There's such a big social media push now. Everything is focused on Facebook and Twitter, and it just wasn't like that just 4 years ago. I don't think anybody had a professional Facebook page at that time, and now everybody does.
We've gone from live trucks to live trucks, what I call live trucks in a box. You just press a button, just simply touching the button, and we're live on television within seconds.
Well, I think when we first started, it was almost easier because it was just a chisel, and we would go from cave to cave and knock out the stories. I would go out there and chisel like the picture of the dinosaur getting killed, and Bill Bryant would read. We knew exactly how many viewers we had because it was only probably about 4.
Those who don't like being told they have to wear a seatbelt, but Lexington's compliance rate is now at 75%.
We didn't do as much, but we were still in the same business, trying to meet these deadlines, trying to rush to get to the information and the video on air. And so now, as I sit and anchor a newscast, while I'm delivering the news, I'm thinking about pulling for that crew, get that in. Let's get that on the air as quickly as we can.
I don't really work out much anymore because I get all the lifting I need from carrying an editor, a TVU, a gear bag, a camera, a tripod, and sometimes get a few weird looks when you're walking up the sidewalk just loaded down with about 85 pounds of gear.
Places we definitely wouldn't be able to get a signal. Now, as long as we have a cell signal, we can edit and send it back to the station, whereas if we were in a live truck, we'd have to go to probably an hour up closer to the station or where we could finally get a shot
The moment I realized that I'd be shooting video signals off into space via satellite, you know, you kind of realize, like, you know, this isn't, you know, for fun anymore. This is for real.
We have other cameras now. We have smaller cameras and little cameras, and we have GoPros, and I can walk into a place, plug my camera in, and I'm live.
You just strap them on, you kind of look like a Ghostbuster. Just the rate that technology changes is tremendous, and it's just going to be crazy to see what it's going to be like even just 1 year, 2 years from now, just to how much it's going to change.
Technology's always changing, it's always getting better, it's always getting smaller. And in this business, it's how well can we adapt to that to bring you the images.
The hours of shouts and pleas weren't in vain. Marcy Gardner all but climbed in the hole herself to rescue her dog, Rat.
And we were at least an hour away from the station. So back before we had TVUs, it would have been impossible to get that on the air.
She was scared. He didn't know what to do. So I had to coax him down a little bit.
Rat came out.
We always have a newscast at 6 o'clock. We always have a newscast at 11 o'clock. And it's our responsibility to make sure that we hit our deadline with these stories. What people don't realize is how few hours we have to put something on air.
I want to thank everybody, the Garrett County Animal Shelter, the man that, I don't even know his name, Keith with the bulldozer or the dozer, whatever it is.
Logged as much sound as possible, edited super fast, and fed it back to the station with about 2 minutes to spare on the newscast.
I mean, he's just like one of my own.
It seemed like everyone was always waiting for that team to kick it into gear and become the team that we thought they would be, and that the players thought they would be, and the national media thought they would be, and it never happened.
The story of UK sports is never ending. From the time one season ends to the time the next one begins, it's a continuous story.
I think once Nerlens Noel went down with an injury, I think Kentucky fans were beginning to realize their worst fears, that maybe this team wasn't going to reach its potential.
It seemed like everyone was always waiting for that team to kick it into gear and become the team that we thought they would be, and that the players thought they would be, and the national media thought they would be, and it never happened.
It was pandemonium down on this court when the game ended, and pretty tough for the Cats, especially after what happened in the SEC tournament last week. But one thing was pretty clear: the team that played better. There wasn't any question about that.
And once we got these new freshmen in, I mean, it was, I'm not going to say forgotten about, but it was forgiven quickly.
So when Cal brought this team in this season, instantly you could tell it was not going to be anything like the team that lost in the NIT.
I remember at one point last year being a little aggravated at everyone talking, a lot of talk on Facebook about how they were so disappointed in the men and their performance and postseason and how disappointing all of that was. So I actually reached out to Big Blue Nation and I said, by the way, we do have a team in the tournament. It's the UK women. They're the #2 seed, by the way, and really stand a chance of making some noise in this tournament.
For the third time in the last 4 seasons, the Kentucky Wildcats are moving on to the Sweet 16.
Kind of an opportunity for them to capitalize on the men not doing as well as what they typically do. Really made them be the focal point for the season and help them shine.
It did not get any better in the second half as UConn simply ran away with it. 83-53, Kentucky finishes the season 30-6.
And of course, everyone was hoping against hope that they would break through to the Final Four, but hoping against hope is the proper term because there's that glass ceiling, it seems, between the top 4 and 5 teams in women's basketball and the next tier. And that's where Kentucky is. And it seems like they're like one great player away from breaking through, getting to the Final Four.
But they will always be in the shadow of UK men's basketball until they start rattling off national title after national title after national title, the way Tennessee did under Pat Summitt.
The Big Blue Nation is buzzing. Almost as loud as the R.J. Corman jet new football coach Mark Stoops flew in on.
When Stoops got hired and he was on the plane coming to land in R.J. Corman, I had to go out there and get him coming off the plane. It was so many people just there to greet him off the plane, fresh off the plane, don't really know much about him. From that day, it was just an excitement in the air.
We saw that Kentucky fans got kind of swept up in this wave of emotion, of potential of what this program could be. Yeah, they didn't have the season that everyone had envisioned, but we all knew that this was the same team basically that was coming back from a 2-win season last year under Joker Phillips.
But I think what has set the Stoops era apart already is the incredible job they've done recruiting. They did that instantly. There was no, well, we'll see how things go. We're building toward next year when the word gets out. No, they recruited instantly, it seemed.
If hope springs eternal, UK football fans have nothing but hope to look forward to, and it's going to happen with Mark Stoops and his coaching staff.
Life isn't a matter of miracles.
I see what to do.
But of moments.
I get you forced to get on the fan to go up that.
For 7-year-old Kelly Melton,
first she was a gorilla.
These
were actually an ape.
Are fun, carefree moments.
We kind of heard about this young kid in Science Hill, Kentucky that was a big UK Wildcats fan who was also fighting leukemia at the same time, and had kind of heard about his story and how some of the UK football and basketball players had taken him in.
You guys should never get cancer.
I think he understands to the point.
Yeah, because that stuff is cold.
Right there. There are times he doesn't feel good.
It's cold.
That he's tired, and of course he's lost his hair. But other than that, he'll just tell you, I have leukemia.
You discover something that you wouldn't have been able to a few years ago with Twitter and Facebook and everything. Now you kind of find this story and you see what these guys do behind the scenes and how it affects someone like Kelly.
Best friend Ariel made him a Facebook page called Kicking It for Kelly. It started Martavius Nellums, and he got on there and looked at it. Immediately, within a couple of days, Martavius was at the hospital with Kelly. The time we set up this story, we set it up for after the Derby, and that's, of course, when Nerlens Noel took Kelly with him to the Derby, and then the story just blew up.
What's Nerlens like?
We all just can imagine. And he's pretty tall.
We told it as more of this young boy is fighting this disease, but he's also a big UK fan, and he's inspiring guys like Nerlens Noel.
But even the support of the Big Blue Nation.
I went to their locker room 2 times.
And the unfailing spirit of a little boy.
No, not yet.
What? I've got a feel. Get that hand out there.
Can't numb the sting of needles.
No.
I'm gonna count. Kelly, I'm gonna count.
And the cruelness of chemo.
There.
Oh, it hurt.
Me and him were talking, and I just started crying.
Oh, every other time it hurts. I just
it does.
You know, that's my little boy. And he said, Dad, why are you crying? And I said, well, I'm worried about you, bud. And he's like, don't worry about me. He said, I'm going to beat this. And he said, if I don't, he said, I go home to Jesus.
I told my dad one day that I would kick this, and if I don't, I go to God. So we named it Kicking It for Kelly.
So you're trying to kick cancer?
I'm going to kick it in the butt.
We are now here at the UK Dance Blue Clinic with Kelly. It's been almost 7 months since we first met him and first told his story. And Kelly, kind of tell me what you've been up to in the last 7 months. You look like you're a whole lot taller. Your hair's growing. What have you been doing ever since we last talked to you?
Well, I've been going to school. I've been meeting new people.
Well, tell me, you're still a Wildcat fan, still a big UK Wildcat fan. The football season is over now, but some of the football players are still coming to visit you even today. Who's coming to visit?
Max Strong. His nickname is Blondie.
And Max Strong named Blondie, but he's not the only one you've gave nicknames to. Who are some of the other players you've given nicknames to?
It is one of my other friends is Jalen. He is Strongy.
Jalen Whitlow is Strongy.
And then Landon is Speedy.
Landon Foster is Speedy. That's pretty cool. Also, you still have more friends than any of us have on Facebook, right?
No, I have more friends on Facebook than anywhere else.
You do, absolutely. And if you want to be Kelly's friends on Facebook, you can go to Kicking It for Kelly and find him there on Facebook. We'll be right back with more Behind the Lens coming up after the break.